One day, there were 6 brave warriors standing in the battlefield, fighting a very giant dragon. The shape of this dragon was terrifying, and it had a great magical power. It wanted nothing but to destroy them, but those 6 heroes gathered against it and used all their skills to defeat it. One of them was using spells, others were fighting with swords, and finally, it was the girl who ended the battle. After all this fighting, the dragon had received harsh strikes, and it could not endure anymore. It fell to the ground as if it had died. The heroes felt great happiness because at last they managed to defeat the most dangerous monster in the world, the monster that had killed more than 150 million people, and only these 6 survived the battle against it. That fight we just saw was the end of the story, and everyone afterwards sat in sadness, thinking of what they would do in their lives. But what life would they even live after that? As for the hero of our story, his name was Derza, and he was the most affected among them. Comfort everyone and said to them, I wish I had a chance to save all those who died, and I wish I had even died with them. The moment Derza finished his words, something happened that no one expected. The dead dragon opened its eyes again, and from its heart came out a terrifying energy that the 6 heroes felt at once, but no one understood what was happening or how they would face it again. Yet one of them realized the situation quickly and said, Do not worry, it seems the dragon has truly died, and what we feel now is only power coming from the explosion of its heart, and it seems we will all die. But no one listened to his words. They tried in every way to stop the explosion, or resist it, but it was useless. The end was coming without doubt. And indeed, the explosion happened, destroyed the entire area, and also killed the heroes. At that moment, Derza was drowning in his grief, sad for himself and for what was happening, and he wished if only it was in his hand to do something. But the explosion hit him too, and he died. But the surprise was that when Derza opened his eyes again, he found himself standing in front of a window, and his body was completely fine. Even the wounds on his face had disappeared. He looked beside him and saw many students gathered, and he also saw the teacher who was going to give them the welcome speech inside the magic school. After he listened to the speech, he was shocked when he learned that they were in the year 3613. That means he had gone back in time 13 years, which means the war had not yet started, and 3 years were still ahead before it would happen. His friends who had all died were still alive, and he could save them again. With so many thoughts in his head and everything he had just gone through, he was overwhelmed and sat on the ground, not understanding anything. But after a little while, he stood, gathered his strength, and began to think seriously. He said, Last time I was weak, and I could not protect any of my friends. But this time I will act in the right way, and I will not let anything happen to them again. Yes, in this world I will be the strongest. At that time, his thoughts were cut off by a girl entering and saying to him, Where are you, man? I have been looking for you since the morning. Then Derza apologized to her and asked why she was even searching for him. The girl answered first by introducing herself, saying, My name is Midoriya, and I will be the one responsible for you in the evaluation test. If you get a high score, it will be in my favor. But if you lose, you will drag my reputation into the dirt. Derza tried to reassure her, saying, Do not worry. I will raise your head high. But the girl, when she looked at his file, was shocked and said, What is this? You are from the commoners, and you are not one of the nobles. Even if you succeed in the coming test, the most you can reach is the class of commoners, because this school is ruled by a class system that separates anyone from the common people from those of noble blood. You have been judged with loss since the day you were born. But Derza answered her, saying, Do not trouble yourself with these matters, just take me quickly to the test. She really took him, and on the way they met the cold noble Elhaimo, who had blue hair and looked like the very example of coldness. He acted arrogantly toward Midoriya and said to her, I heard you got a student assigned to you. Show me his file. She showed him the file, and when he saw it, he said with mockery, He is nothing but a peasant commoner. What a loss for you, Midoriya. Your fate is always to lose to me every time, because you will face the test in the same team with me, and I do not want to waste my time with losers like you. Farewell. Anger burned in the heart of Midoriya because of what she heard, and she said in herself, I will show you, dog. I will not allow you to look down on my friend Derza. After he left, she turned to him and said, If you lose to that dog, I will end you myself. But Derza tried to calm the situation as much as he could, and then they both headed to the place of the test. Derza reached there and started looking right and left, and he said to himself, I am sure she came with me on this day. Could I find her here? He kept looking everywhere, but he did not see anything, so he surrendered to reality and almost left. But suddenly a girl came from behind him and said, What is wrong with you, fool? You have exhausted me with how many times you turned your head in every direction. Why are you staring everywhere? Stand still for a bit. and when Derza saw her, he was shocked. Yes, it was Romantica, the love of his heart who had died long ago and whom he could not save. He stood stunned, not believing his eyes, and kept staring at her foolishly, while she did not understand the reason for his gaze and said to him, "What is wrong with you, young man?" But inside himself he had already decided that he would protect her, and he said, "Impossible. I will never allow what happened to be repeated again." After that, Midoriya reached the place and began to explain to Derza the system of the test. She said, "It is a race between 5 participants, only 3 of them will succeed, and those are the ones who will enter the Magic Academy." Before she could complete her explanation, someone interrupted and said, "In this test, magical attacks and fighting between the participants are all allowed, and you, my friend, you have already been judged with loss, because the one you will face is Azest, the strongest magic knight, and by chance you are against her." But Derza was not paying attention to this useless talk at all. Instead, he was looking at Azest with great joy, because she was one of the 6 heroes who completed the journey to the end. As for Midoriya, when she saw Azest, she lost her excitement and felt she was certain of failure. But she looked at Derza and said to him, "At least try to be among the first 3, or at least succeed in the test." Then Derza understood the reason she said that, and after that, the test began. They entered through a special gate and were moved into a small world. The task was to reach the end of the forest, where there was a line at the far end. The first 3 to cross that line would succeed, while the rest would fail and return home. Romantica was in the same test with Derza and Azest, and the situation looked like it would be complete destruction. Everyone prepared seriously, while Derza was thinking about one thing that bothered him. He had gone back in time 13 years, but had Azest also come back with him? He tried to ask her about anything, but she knew nothing, and it was clear he was the only one who had returned in time. The test began, and the participants rushed forward at crazy speed toward the line. Azest was in the front, while the last 2 were Romantica and Derza. The girl literally could not stand him, confused by the way he looked at her with love, and she said in her heart, "What is wrong with you, cold boy?" But she did not have time to finish her thoughts before Derza noticed an attack coming toward her, and he rushed to save her at the last moment. Yes, the battle had finally begun. Someone had set up an ambush for them and almost ended them. But suddenly Romantica used her wind magic and struck him with a strong blow, removing him from the test completely. Now only 5 remained in the forest. After that, the girl thanked Derza for saving her and said, "You saved me, and in return, I killed that boy who was in front of you, so now we are equal." Derza answered, "Fine. Everything is all right, but the competitors are about to reach the finish line, and we are still busy talking. Let us go." She said to him, "You are right." Then she gathered all her energy and said, "Look at me carefully." She launched a strike filled with all the power of her wind magic, and when it reached the top 3, it defeated 2 of them, leaving only Azest alive. Then she looked at Derza and said, "Now only we 3 are left, which means we will all succeed, right?" Then she continued coldly, "Of course not. Do you think I will let you live? No. I will finish you right now and send you back to the world again." Derza said to her, "Calm down a little, girl. Let us cross all 3 together and succeed. You will not lose anything." But she answered, "No. This cold smile of yours will not be the one to win. I will never let you succeed. You must leave the test now, and I will give you one last chance. Because I am a kind girl, not evil. Withdraw by yourself without getting hurt. Come on, clever boy, show me your back." But Derza refused to withdraw, and her anger exploded to the maximum. Romantica used all her energy, and released more than 7 magic circles above her and said to him, "I warned you once." Then she hit him with a huge strike that broke the air around them. She thought she had finished everything and left the boy, convinced she had won. "But where are you going, girl?" For suddenly Derza called her from behind, saying, "Well done. Your attack was strong and beautiful, but your control of direction is very weak. Is this all you have?" She was shocked and said, "You survived only by luck, nothing more. I will show you your true place." She gathered all her energy again and struck him with her magic, sure that she would destroy him. But no way. This was Derza, my dear. He changed the direction of the magic and reflected it back at her, leaving her in real shock. Then Romantica shouted, "How could you reflect the spells? I cannot believe my eyes." But Derza kept looking at her with the same cold eyes, while she became more and more angry and screamed, "I will end you now!" She attacked him with continuous strikes, one after another, and the boy stood in his place without moving, only raising his hand each time, blocking her attacks easily. Then he looked at her, activating the counter inside his eyes, and said, "You are really strong, but we have talked too much already. Now it is time for the real fight." Then he used his abilities on her, even reflecting the magic circles she created. After that, he activated frictionless magic on himself, making his body rise above the ground. He released a fire shot behind him that pushed him forward with speed, and he said to her, "Goodbye. See you in class, my teammate." In a moment, Durza shot forward at rocket speed toward the finish line until no one could even see him. As for Romantica, she fell to the ground, feeling shocked and wronged, waiting for the test result with bitterness. At the same time, Azest had already come out of the forest and was close to the finish line, and it looked like victory was easily in her hands. But she was surprised by what she did not expect. The legend arrived. Yes, it was Derza. He rushed to the place, and when the girl realized he would reach her, she quickly changed her direction and created more than 100 magic circles, saying to him, "I will finish you before you arrive." But the boy had already understood what she was doing, and boom, he cancelled her magic completely, just like he did with her sister. At that time, Azest understood how Derza had defeated Romantica, and she realized that he was using spell reflection. She repeated her attempts to defeat him and said, "I will not allow you to pass me. I will end you." She gathered all her spells and struck them toward him, saying, "Now I will do something you cannot reflect." Then she launched the attack, confident she would win, but she did not know this was exactly what Derza had planned. He used the same spell against her, making it hit behind him, and he took advantage of the kinetic force from the explosion to skillfully pass Azest. Then he stood in front of her and said, "Your problem is that you only focused on killing me, but I am the winner of this test." With this, the tests ended with Derza in first place, followed by Azest, and then Romantica. Now it was time for them to prepare to be moved into their classes. After that, an important meeting was held to decide which students would enter Class Alpha and which would enter Class Beta. It was known that this school was completely ruled by class status, so only nobles could enter Class Alpha. Because of that, Derza was judged to be sent to Class Beta. But Professor Bridget gave a recommendation for Derza to be included in Class Alpha. However, her recommendation was rejected, and so he was placed into Class Beta. As for Romantica, she was also judged to go to the same class with him, and she could not believe what was happening. They entered the class, and its condition was very bad and disgusting. Romantica looked left and right, hating the day she had come here. The teacher was explaining, but his teaching was extremely poor, and nobody understood anything from him. The girl sat thinking, why did they not choose me for Class Alpha, even though I am a noble and my power is high? It seemed she began to doubt something. Still, she was not as upset about all of this as she was about Derza sitting in front of her, smiling at her with his cold smile that she hated. As for Derza, he remembered the apology of Professor Bridget to him, because she could not place him into Class Alpha due to the objections of the teachers and everyone else, only because he was from the common people. And Bridget was the woman who had raised Derza in the orphanage when he was young. After the lesson ended, Romantica sat down, frustrated by everything that had happened to her that day. Suddenly, one of the students from Class Alpha came to her and welcomed her. He confessed that he admired her and wanted her to go out with him, and he offered her to join the Blue Moon Party. He even gave her a gift of gold, just so she would agree. Romantica became confused and did not know how to respond, so the boy said to her, "Take your time, I will wait for your answer." Then he left her and went away. At that moment, Derza appeared beside her and said, "It seems he is very much in love with you." The girl was shocked, fell to the ground and said, "Where did you come from, and what do you want?" Derza said to her, "I also have the same proposal. I want you to join me in the party I will create." Romantica laughed at him and said, "A moment ago, I was offered to join the Blue Moon Party, which is the strongest party in the school, and anyone who joins it guarantees success. Do you expect me to leave it and join your party instead?" "Of course not." Then Derza said in himself, "The biggest mistake she made in my past life was joining that party. I must make her change her decision." Then he said to her, "I knew this would be your answer, and that is why I brought this letter. I will leave it here for you. Think by yourself and then give me your reply." Romantica thought it was a love letter or something like that, and she kept mocking him. But Derza said to her, "Throw it away after you read it." Then he left her and went away. After that, the girl began to feel uneasy, and she opened the letter. As soon as she read it, she became very angry, and it seemed it had struck a wound deep inside her. At that time, Derza was walking while searching for a certain person in his mind, and indeed, he found her. She was a girl named Pram. This girl went to the training arena, so Derza followed her to watch. At that moment, Romantica appeared and was about to speak with him, but he silenced her, saying, "Watch the match and be quiet." She did not understand his meaning at first, but when she looked at the ring, she saw Prom. She admired her appearance very much and felt that something was strange. Pram went up to the ring and took a big sword to duel with one of the students from Class Alpha. They were supposed to compete together. The referee stopped them and ordered the fight to begin, and the duel really started. At first, Prom controlled the battle, striking her opponent and pushing him backward. The scene was exciting, but Derza wondered, why is she not using her own sword? Why is she using another sword she is not familiar with? And indeed, his words were correct. The student from Class Alpha took advantage of this chance and struck Pram with a strong blow, making her drop the sword and lose the fight. The referee announced the end of the match with victory for the student of Class Alpha. But that boy was not satisfied with his win. He was angry. He approached Pram as she sat on the ground and began hitting her with his fists mercilessly. Derza could not stand the sight and rushed to save her. The boy kept provoking them, so Derza became angry and said to him, "What bothers you about her, you fool? Is it because her strikes were heavy on your hand?" The boy grew furious and struck Derza recklessly, but Derza blocked the blow with his hand, and the boy's sword broke. Then Derza looked at him with eyes full of anger and said, "Get out of my way now before I deal with you." The boy panicked and became afraid, then left, saying, "Remember this face of mine." After that, Pram took Derza to the clinic and wrapped his arm where it was injured. She thanked him for defending her and not letting her suffer the beating. He replied kindly, "Do not worry, you are fine." He treated her gently, and she liked it very much, and so the three of them, Derza, Romantica, and Prom, officially became friends. It seemed that Prom would also join the party that Derza was forming. After that, Romantica took Derza aside and said to him, "How did you know what was written in the paper? I never told anyone about this, and you must explain to me how you knew everything." Derza answered her, "There was a rich merchant in the East who had a lot of money, and he was a commoner, but he wanted to become a noble. So he found a poor noble and bought his title from him. That merchant's name was Arrow, was it not, Romantica?" The girl was very shocked by his knowledge of this information, and she understood that this was the reason she had been sent to Class Beta instead of Class Alpha. Then she said to him, "And what does this have to do with my decision to join the Blue Moon Party?" "There is no reason to stop me from joining," Derza replied. "There is a reason. Imagine if the members of that party discovered that you were from the common people. Would they treat you the same way? Surely not. The important thing is that I have told you what I know. The decision is yours. So, will you join my party, Romantica, or not?" After thinking, the girl was convinced by his words, and she said she would join the party with him. Derza stretched out his hand to her, and they shook hands, and the atmosphere between them was full of satisfaction and calm. On the next day, the three of them, Derza, Romantica, and Pram, went to Professor Brigitte to create their own party. They entered her office, and Brigitte asked Derza, "Why do you want to form a party?" The boy answered, "I want to reach Class Alpha. I know the path is very difficult, but I am confident that we can succeed." The teacher looked at him with surprise and said, "But the matter is extremely hard, almost impossible. To reach that class, you must win the national tournament. And not only that, but the three of you must also gain an individual ranking among the top 8 students in the school." Pram did not understand what she meant, so she asked her about the tournament. Brigitte began to explain. In this tournament, the parties compete against each other, and the one that reaches the end is the winner. But it is not as easy as I make it sound. The alpha parties are always the winners, because their students have prepared training halls, talented teachers, advanced magical weapons, and everything at the highest level. But Class Beta has very poor resources and has never won anything. When Romantica heard that, she became frustrated and said, "Then we have already lost before we even started. I want to leave." But Derza answered her, "Class Beta never won because of the corrupted system of the school that separates the classes and plants all this injustice. But if someone from this class reaches the final and gains an individual ranking, then everyone will start to look at him differently. Do not worry. As long as you are with me, we will win." The teacher was happy with his words and said, "If you do this, you will always find me behind you. For perhaps together we can try to break this corrupted system." Derza said to her, "Excellent," and then they created the party. After that, on their way back, they passed by the Class Alpha students as they trained in a well-equipped place full of tools. Romantica expected that she would also train in a place like that, but Derza shocked her when he took her to a neglected place, broken from every side, full of dust and dirt, and unfit for living. When she saw it, Romantica was horrified by its appearance, and her fear increased when she noticed rats inside. She wanted to leave in any way, but Derza did not allow it and said, "This is the only place that Brigitte gave us, so pull yourself together and let us clean it together." The girl agreed and said, "Fine." As for Prom, she sat sleeping on the stairs outside. When she entered later to see what they had done, she found that the place had completely changed and was shining with cleanliness. The only one who was exhausted from the work was Romantica. She sat on the ground tired after all the cleaning, but Derza did not let her rest and said, "Come on, get up, let us train." She replied, "Let me rest a little. You are too harsh." He answered, "No. If you want to reach Class Alpha, you must work harder." Then Romantica remembered that there were many who were stronger than her, so she listened to his words and said, "Fine." Then he drew a circle on the wall and said to her, "Hit it." She fired a magic arrow and it landed in the center of the target. He said, "I want you to hit the same point 7 more times." She began to do it, and even though some of the shots missed, the result was good. He said to her, "Very good. As a beginning, this is excellent. Now we will start strengthening the accuracy of your shots." Then he drew a circle on the ground and placed a ball in front of it and said to her, "Your task is very simple. You must make the ball reach the center of the circle without touching it." Romantica was surprised and said, "How can I do that? Do you think I am a witch?" He replied with a smile, "Of course you are a witch." The girl was surprised by his words, but she tried. She released her power on the ball, and it rose into the air, but she did not know how to control it, and then it fell again on the ground. Derza said to her, "Exactly like that. Well done. You will keep training until you make it land in the center of the circle. Come on, my champion. Continue what you are doing." Romantica was very happy with his words, because she heard from him a word of praise, and she was at the peak of happiness. After that, Derza went to Pram to train her as well, because he knew from his previous life about her power with the sword, and at that time she was supposed to be at the peak of her strength. So he asked her, "Why were you using a big sword when you fought that boy yesterday? Wasn't your original weapon supposed to be thin and small?" Pram lowered her face to the ground when she heard his words and said, "You are right, but I did it for an inner reason. If it matters to you, then follow me, and I will tell you the story." So he went with her, and the girl was very happy because he cared about her details. They entered inside, and the girl went straight to the sword and said, "I was born from a mother who was a commoner, and I hated that very much. But my mother told me that my father was a noble, and he gave her this sword as a gift when he learned that she was pregnant with me. This sword was the only gift from my father, and I considered it everything in my life. I started training with it since I was only 6 years old. And all of that was only because I wanted, when I meet him one day, or when he sees me, that he would be happy and recognize me because I used his sword. But before my mother died, she told me, 'Your father lives in another world that you cannot reach. Never go to him.' But I always wanted to meet him and to know if he truly loved my mother or not, and whether the sword he gave her as a gift because of her pregnancy had a real value or not. So I went to the city and asked the blacksmith there, 'What is the value of this sword?' The man said to me, 'It is a sword without any value.' Since that day, I felt deep sadness, and I realized my father did not love my mother. He only gave her something worthless to get rid of it. From that moment, I promised myself never to use his sword again, and never to use anything except large swords." Derza listened to her words and was deeply moved, and he remembered that in his past life, Pram really had used that sword. The boy left, thinking about the matter, while watching her train with a normal sword, his mind busy with what he had heard. At the same time, Romantica had reached the stage where she could move the ball and make it reach the circle, but it did not land exactly in the middle. When Derza approached her, her face turned red, and she remembered the boy from Class Alpha when he gave her a gift to show his love. That gift contained precious items, and maybe Pram's sword was the same, holding a hidden value. Because of that, Derza went directly to Pram and said, "I want to see your sword." But she refused and said, "I sold it. You will never see it again." Derza was shocked and said, "Take me quickly to the place where you sold it." And indeed, Pram took him to the market where she had sold the sword. She asked him, "Why do you want the sword?" But he could not explain it clearly and said, "When we get there, you will understand." When they arrived, they found a sign written, "No returns allowed," which meant he could not get Pram's sword back again. They entered, and the place had a large iron gate with a skull beside it. Derza knocked on the door. A very large man opened it and let them inside. There, the blacksmith welcomed them, saying, "Welcome, welcome. One came yesterday and another one today. Did you come to buy or to sell?" Derza said to the blacksmith, "Believe me, man, we came to take back the sword that Pram sold to you yesterday." The blacksmith replied, "Did you not see the sign outside? We do not return anything, Derza said. No problem. I will buy it from you. The blacksmith brought out the sword and said to Pram, yesterday I told you this sword had no value, and I bought it from you for only 3 silver coins. But today I will sell it to you as something different. It is a kimoven, a type of gift that is given to the girl you love. Pram was shocked when she heard that word and asked what was inside it. But even he did not know. Still, he said, the sword will be 40 silver coins. It was obvious he was scamming them openly. Pram became angry and said, you are like a thief. You want to earn 10 times the price in just one day. You are not a decent man. The blacksmith replied, believe me, now I am not selling you a sword. I am selling you a kimoven. If you do not like the price, then leave. Derza stepped in to calm the situation. He took out 40 silver coins and gave them to the blacksmith, then took the sword. After that, he used his ability on it to locate the hidden opening, and then gave the sword to Pram to open it herself. Pram opened the sword, and the surprise was revealed. It was not an ordinary blade, but the blade of Blantium, one of the rarest and most expensive metals ever. When the blacksmith saw it, he was greatly shocked and shouted, give me back the sword quickly. But Derza ignored him and prepared to leave. However, the guard did not allow them, and the blacksmith ordered him to take the sword from them by force. Then Derza became angry and said to the blacksmith, weren't you the one who just sold it for 40 silver coins, 10 times more than the price you bought it for? What more do you want, you greedy man? But the blacksmith replied, this is different. Blantium is one of the most expensive metals, and I will never allow you to leave with it. The guard really tried to take the sword by force, but do you imagine that after Pram learned her sword was so valuable she would leave it easily? Of course not. Pram stood in front of Derza, holding the sword, and said to him, leave this to me, I will finish it for you. Then she released her legendary skills and boom, she defeated the guard completely, cut the iron gate as well, and then they left together. She said mockingly, the sweetest greeting to you, greedy blacksmith. After that, they went out into the market again, and they were hungry from walking so much. Derza invited Pram to eat, and the girl was very happy and felt at the peak of joy. While she was eating, she remembered her mother, who had told her that her father loved her. For the first time, she believed those words and felt true comfort. At the same time, Romantica had managed to control her magic better than before, and she was able to make the ball land exactly in the center of the circle. She almost jumped from happiness. Then she tried her magic on another circle in front of her, and every strike hit the target. She could not believe herself. After that, she left the training place and stood waiting for the boy who had asked her out, so she could give him her answer. They sat together in a restaurant, and he brought her food. She ate with great appetite, even finishing everything on the plate in front of her. Then she thanked him for it. The boy was very confident, thinking her answer would be acceptance. But the surprise was that she took out the gift he had given her and said she would not go out with him, nor date him, and she would not join the Blue Moon party. The boy was shocked and said, what reason makes you refuse to join the strongest party in the school? Did someone threaten you? Romantica answered, no, I joined a party in class beta, and honestly, I feel more comfortable there. And I feel like I can be myself. He said to her, but your team is full of commoners and dirty people. You deserve better than them. Romantica, she replied, no, because I am also a commoner. And from your reaction now, after hearing this word, I am sure I made the right decision. My teammates do not look at me in that way. I am done talking. Do you have anything else to say? The boy said, if I had known from the start that you were a commoner, I would never have asked you to join me. But now that I know, I promise you, I will crush all of your faces. She replied, get out of my sight. Then she left him and walked away, while the boy was so angry that his face turned red like fire, feeling insulted. The day ended, and the time came for the start of the school tournament. Derza and his team were at the front of Class Beta. They defeated everyone they faced quickly and without mercy. Prom fought with her sword, and Romantica with her wind magic. Their performance was amazing. They kept climbing the ranks until they were among the top 30 students, and only the Alpha class teams were left ahead of them. Professor Brigitte was very happy with their great success, but she also knew that now all eyes would be focused on them, and that they had to be extremely careful with what was coming. At that time, the teacher in charge of the Blue Moon Party gathered all of its members. He was very angry and said, what madness is this written in the newspapers? How did the trash of Class Beta reach rank 30? You must stop them from reaching the top 10 by any means. Then he called Azest and appointed her as the leader of the team, saying, the most important thing is that you do whatever you can to finish these pieces of trash as fast as possible, because if they succeed in the test, I will destroy all of you. Azest answered with excitement. All right. She was extremely motivated, because after her loss in the previous preliminary test, she had felt rage, and she was focused on Derza, wanting to repay him for the defeat. She left the hall after that, and met two others, Donetta and Hadun. She was surprised to see them and asked the reason. Donetta said, "Believe me, leader, I have only one request, and it is that I kill Romantica myself." Hadun added, "And I also want to kill Prom." Azest said to them, "It is fine. Do what you want, but know one thing. Derza is mine alone. Anyone who dares to get close to him, I will cut his neck." It was clear that they were all planning something evil against our heroes. At that time, Derza went to his friends while they were training. He greeted them warmly and then took them to the library, bringing them 5 or 6 books to read. The friends did not understand at first and asked him, "Why do you want us to read these books?" Derza answered, "The battlefield we will be in depends on a past event. They use augmented reality to recreate everything that happened in detail, and all these details are written in one of these books." Romantica was surprised and said to him, "All right. But how did you manage to choose the right exam from more than 1,000 books and events?" Derza answered, "I chose some books according to my intuition. Let us read them together." She said, "Fine. All right, man. We will read all these books." And they really began reading. But do you think Derza chose the book by chance? Number. He already knew the final battle would be in the Tower World, but he did not want to raise suspicion, so he gave them several books to hide the truth. While they were reading, Azest entered. Derza saw her and asked her the reason for coming. She apologized and said, "I am sorry for looking down on you in the last test, but this time I will defeat you. Prepare yourself because we will face each other again in the coming exam." Derza smiled and said, "Agreed." On the next day, the tournament qualifiers began. Derza and his team were standing in the tunnel preparing, while he reviewed everything with them. The friends were calm and trusted him completely. Without the slightest fear, they entered the starting arena, where all the teams were gathered, including the strongest students of Class Alpha. Almost everyone focused their eyes on Derza's team, considering them the #1 enemy. The referee explained the mission and said, "Any team that takes control quickly or survives until the end is the winner. If you can take control of the Shadow World, you will win. And if you are among the last 3 teams standing, you will also win." The gates opened, and everyone rushed in, full of excitement. Derza's team entered as well, and then the members split up. Derza was wandering until he reached a place in the middle of the forest. Suddenly, a girl from Class Alpha appeared in front of him and said, "What great luck! I found you in my very first move without any effort. Today I will make you my coffin." The girl attacked him with her magic power, but Derza cancelled her effect and reflected it back. Nothing happened to him. He said to her, "You are the one who will become my coffin today. Now show me everything you have." The girl became angry and attacked him again. But do you think anyone can defeat Derza? Number. He used her magic against her and said, "Watch how I use ice magic." Then he struck her again and finished her completely. With that, the first person was eliminated from the 30, and 29 remained. Meanwhile, Romantica and Pram were also defeating their opponents until only 27 remained. Then Romantica used search magic to locate Derza so they could regroup. She saw 3 signals on the map, 2 together and 1 alone. She attacked the single one, but it turned out to be only a trick. The 2 signals came into the area and fought, but after their training, the girls had become much stronger. They caught them and ended the fight quickly. And yes, the one you were thinking of, it was Derza. He had been watching them to see their growth and progress. Then he joined them, and they sat together, waiting for the rest of the participants to be eliminated, as if nothing had happened. But suddenly, the rain began to fall, so they took shelter under the trees. The atmosphere changed completely. Derza explained to them what was happening. "We are now inside the clock tower. When the hands strike exactly 12, the bell will ring, and dangerous monsters will rise from the ground. We must escape from them and kill the boss, otherwise we will all die without exception." And indeed, the monsters came out and started attacking the players, until only 17 participants remained. Derza and his team were among them, but the monsters saw them and began chasing them without stopping, as if the end had come close. Romantica tried to strike the monsters with her magic or by any means, but those rats were not affected. Their number only increased, and they came closer and closer, almost ready to devour them. At that moment, Derza threw some of his blood onto the monsters. Because they loved blood, they rushed to eat it. Romantica then used the chance and struck them with her magic, hitting the target. They were about to celebrate their victory, but the monsters stood up again as if nothing had happened. The rats came nearer and nearer, and the whole team was threatened with death. At that time, Prom flew into the middle of the monsters, focusing all her energy on killing the boss, while rats surrounded her from every direction. Derza stood outside, almost dying from fear for her. Remembering how she had died in the past and how he could not save her. He felt he was reliving the same moment again. He tried to push the rats away from her and protect her, but he could not, and he felt her end was near. But suddenly Prom focused her senses with her sword and really killed the boss. As soon as he fell, the entire wave of monsters ended. After that, her energy was completely gone, and she collapsed on the ground. The team carried her under a tree to rest. The sadness was clear on Derza, until he asked Romantica to protect her while he went outside, standing under the rain speaking to himself. She was about to die because of me again. I was happy with her fast progress and closeness to me, and allowed her to sacrifice herself. I am a fool. I must never repeat this. I will protect my friends no matter what it costs. Then Derza returned to his friends. Pram asked him about the wound on his face, but he tried to change the subject and said, "Leave this now. Come with me quickly to the tower. I have a plan we must carry out." At that time, Azest and her team had reached the tower, but suddenly they were hit by attacks from every direction, which eliminated 2 of them. They did not know the source of the strikes or who was attacking them. 2 more entered from another side and were also attacked. Yes, it was Derza's plan. He had reached the tower early and hidden above it, and anyone who tried to enter fell into his trap. Romantica was controlling the attacks with her wind magic, striking them from all directions, while Derza used his magic on the tower itself, as if he was preparing for something greater. And when Azest and her team entered the tower, they found 2 alpha teams fighting each other, each one believing the other had attacked them. But when Azest saw the scene, she understood that Derza was the one who had planned it all. She tried to convince the alpha teams to attack him together, but they did not believe her and said, "Impossible. No one from weak class beta could have this kind of magic power. It must be you who did this." Azest became angry at their words and said, "I will crush all of your heads." She attacked with great speed. One of them tried to strike her with fire magic, but she dodged it easily, then finished his teammates with incredible speed. She moved with insane strength, and no one could match her. The second alpha team tried to stop her, but she alone was enough to defeat them all, without her team even needing to help. At that moment, Derza's team was waiting to hear the sound of the notification that the number of participants had dropped. They expected that only 3 or 4 remained, meaning they had already won and would enter Class Alpha officially. But the surprise was that the fighting stopped and no notifications came. Suddenly, they heard footsteps on the stairs. It was Azest, coming up with Donata and Hadun. She said to them, "Did you think you could fight each other and then sit waiting for promotion? I am sorry to tell you your plan failed. I froze the players downstairs in their places so they will not die. That means you will not succeed in anything as long as I am here." Derza admired her way of thinking and said, "Good." Then he prepared to attack her, but she acted first and used her magic to lift him upward, while Donata and Hadun each threw their strikes at their opponents. The decisive triple battle began, the one that would decide the tournament and who would win everything. Azest attacked Derza with violence, striking him and thinking his end had come. But do you imagine that the monster Derza would lose so easily? Number. He struck back with powerful magic attacks that paralyzed her movement and gave her no chance. Even so, she used her abilities to free herself and showed she was not easy. Below, Hadun was fighting Pram, thinking she was weak as in the past. But the truth was different. She moved with incredible speed, shocking him, knocking him to the ground, and leaving him unable to move. He was astonished at her strength and asked, "How did you become this strong in only 2 weeks?" Pram answered him with a mocking laugh and stuck out her tongue to humiliate him. As for Romantica, she could not keep up with her opponent. She had used her magic too much, until her energy was almost gone, and she could no longer do anything. At that time, Derza used his energy and spread dust in the place, because he knew that Romantica could see through it, while her opponent could no longer see anything. Romantica took the chance and rained strikes on him left and right without mercy, until she seemed completely in control. But the boy used the magical tool hanging from his neck, and it cleared the dust in an instant. He rushed toward her and struck her, while she tried to dodge with difficulty, unable to do anything. Romantica said to him, "You are weak. Without that magical tool, I would have been the winner." He answered, "Yes, I have this tool because I am noble and rich. A girl like you, a commoner, could never dream of owning something like this. And do not worry, this is not the only tool I have." Then suddenly he showed the rings on his hands and lit fire on the ground beneath her, before throwing her against the wall, almost killing her. But when Prom saw the scene, she could not stand it. She rushed to protect her. Another opponent, Hadun, tried to follow to kill them both, but the boy said, "Stay where you are. I alone am enough to deal with them." He attacked with power, but Pram was not silent. She blocked all of his attacks skillfully and cut off all his attempts. Even Hadun himself could not understand why he was so furious. Meanwhile, the battle between Azest and Derza was still going on. The girl used all her methods to strike him, but every time he cancelled her attack and countered her with only a touch of his finger, as if mocking her in her place. Azest grew very angry and gathered all her energy to attack him, but suddenly she found herself under his feet. He surprised her with fire magic and struck her strongly from behind, almost killing her, but she managed to protect herself at the last moment with ice magic that covered her body. Azest's excitement increased, and she attacked with her sword with all her strength. Derza blocked her with difficulty, almost taking the full strike. She struck again, and he defended with extreme effort using only a dagger. Even then, she could not control him. She shouted at him, "How can you block all my attacks when my stats are much higher than yours?" He replied, "It is simple. I only use my mind." Then he remembered the past, and how Azest was strong, with no one able to stand against her, and he said to her, "Do you not enjoy fighting me? I see you want to defeat me so badly. Come, show me your full power." Azest smiled and said, "Since you asked for the end, I will show it to you." She raised her sword and used her secret style. Suddenly, the whole place changed into ice, and an ice throne appeared. She sat upon it and declared, "Palace, let us see how you will escape from here." The attacks rained down on Derza from every direction, long-range magic and terrifying ice power, and the air became extremely cold. But do you think he was afraid? Number. He endured it all and said, "I will turn the table on you." He destroyed her attacks one after the other. Azest was shocked and said, "What is this power?" Then she drew her sword and merged it with her magic, saying, "I will use sword and magic together. Show me how you will face me." When Derza saw her, he was surprised. "This is Azest's strongest technique from my previous life. How did she manage to develop it so fast? Will I lose this time?" At that moment, Donata was fighting Pram and Romantica, intending to finish them. But Pram stood bravely in front of him and said, "Show me your last move, coward." He called out to his friend, "Come, let us crush them together." They both attacked foolishly, each from a different side, trying to confuse Pram. But what they did not know was that they had fallen into Romantica's trap. Suddenly Pram dropped to the ground, and Romantica opened two massive magic circles, saying, "The sweetest surprise." Then she finished them both with a single strike, and so, only Azest and Derza remained. At that time, Azest had prepared her magic sword and attacked with all her power, but Derza tried hard to block her strike. With every attempt, she came closer and closer to him, until it seemed the match was about to end. But the surprise was that Derza's team were the true winners, because the magic tower had already been analyzed from the beginning thanks to Derza's magic. From the very first moment he reached the tower, he began to study its structure, and even while fighting Azest, his focus was not only on her, but a large part of his energy was directed toward the tower itself, so he could finish the mission and win the battle. And so, the tournament ended, and Class Beta's team won. All the students and the school were in shock, while Professor Brigitte clapped for them with great joy and overwhelming happiness. But the teacher in charge of the Blue Moon Party was furious to the extreme. His eyes shone with anger as he threw his staff on the ground, shouting, "How did this happen? This is impossible. There must be some mistake." After that, all the heads of the school gathered to discuss moving Derza and his friends to Class Alpha. As usual, that teacher objected and tried to block their promotion in every way. But against his will, they were officially transferred. Brigitte was overjoyed and at the peak of her happiness. After that, Azest approached Derza and his team. She admitted her defeat before him and asked to be friends. But Romantica and Pram did not like the situation and said sarcastically, "Does the hero only gather girls around him?" Even so, Derza thanked them sincerely and said, "Without your help, we could never have succeeded." They were all happy, full of joy. As for Azest, she stepped away a little, but asked Derza if she could train with them in their training place. He smiled and said to her, "The place is yours. Brighten it with your presence any time, Azest." For the first time, she was happy and smiled, then left. And how beautiful it is when a person accepts defeat, especially when the defeated is impressed by the one who defeated them. After that, the three went to Professor Brigitte, who welcomed them with a big smile and said, "Congratulations, children. You are now officially in Class Alpha." She brought them a big cake to celebrate their great achievement. They were overjoyed, and she told them with amusement about the teacher of the Blue Moon Party, who had burned with rage the day before, and she was delighted by that even more. On the next day, The three friends gathered at the school gate and decided to play and celebrate their victory in the national tournament. Derza, in truth, did not want to play. He wanted to use the time to become stronger in preparation for the coming disaster, but he accepted it as a day of rest. They entered a game shop, bought new clothes, changed their looks, and started playing and having fun happily. Azest also joined them, so they played together, competed, and their bond became closer and warmer. After the day ended, Azest left them and said, "I will wait for you tomorrow in Class Alpha." And indeed, on the next day, the four of them gathered to train before classes started. The atmosphere was wonderful. Azest began to train with them, just like Romantica had done in the past. She tried to move the ball into the center of the circle, but she failed the first time. Then Romantica took the ball and directed it to the correct place, earning everyone's praise, and she was extremely happy. Then they all went to Class Alpha and sat there, amazed by the beauty of the hall, the advanced tools, and the teacher who explained to them in a wonderful way. They could hardly believe themselves. After the lesson ended, Derza went to the teacher and said to her, "I want you for something important." The teacher was surprised and did not understand what he wanted, so she took him to a private place to listen. Derza took out a paper and gave it to her, saying, "I want to take the mission of protecting the tower." The teacher was shocked and asked, "How did you know about this tower?" Then she refused to give him the mission before hearing the details. At that moment he said, "The dragon's tear, the rare stone, is inside that tower, and in only 10 hours, if we do not protect it, the outsiders will steal it." The teacher was shaken and asked, "Where did you get this information from?" Derza replied, "It does not matter where I knew it from. What matters is that you record my request quickly, so we can protect everything." After exactly 10 hours passed, a man went to the tower chief and told him that there had been an attack on Alex's tower. The chief was shocked, quickly opened Derza's file and said to himself, "It happened just as he said. Who are you really?" At the same time, there was a poor boy carrying food for his siblings, running back home. As he hurried, he bumped into a man, and the food fell to the ground. The man reached out his hand to help him up and asked, "What is wrong, boy? Why are you in such a hurry?" The boy began to tell his story, but the man, instead of helping, stepped on the bread and insulted him, saying, "Do you know, the best thing that could happen is that you watch your siblings die of hunger in front of you. Farewell, poor dog." Then he left him and walked away. One of his men came closer and asked, "Boss, shall I finish him?" Kumar replied, "No, let him return to his siblings without food, so they will die in front of his eyes." Then he took all his followers and rushed toward Alex's tower to steal it. The tower was surrounded by a strong barrier on every side, but Kumar gathered 1 million soldiers and made them strike the barrier without rest. With so many attacks, the barrier finally collapsed. They entered the tower, where soldiers were already waiting for them. Kumar ordered his army to fight, while he took a small group and sneaked toward the dragon stone. When they reached it, the mages began casting spells on the magical barrier, but it was very strong. Then Kumar himself entered and broke the barrier, approaching the stone. He was about to grab it when suddenly Prom shouted, "No one touches the stone." He mocked her, took the stone and put it in his pocket, then ordered his men, "Finish her." They rushed toward her, but she tried to dodge their strikes and fight back. Kumar also struck her, forcing her to face all of them at once. It looked like her end was near, but suddenly the attack stopped. Romantica's magic appeared in the place. She had been hiding the whole time, and she struck them with her spells. Kumar and his men did not know where the attacks were coming from. Prom used the chance to kill several soldiers until only Kumar remained. But do you think he would fall so easily? He controlled the battle, struck the pillar, and revealed Romantica's hiding place. Then he gathered his energy and surrounded himself with rocks, threatening, "It is better for no one to move, or I will destroy you." He continued his violent assault, while Prom and Romantica tried to respond, but they failed. Kumar decided to escape quickly before any reinforcements of guards could arrive. He vanished in a moment, went down into a secret place, and pulled out the stone, laughing happily. "I succeeded in the mission safely. But do you think the monster would let him go like that?" Suddenly, the boy who had been carrying bread appeared in front of him and said, "Hello, Kumar. That hand of yours was very useful. It made it easy for me to find you. Remember when you said earlier that you would be happy to watch my siblings die of hunger? Here I am. I will burn your blood with the stone you sacrificed your entire army for, and I will take it from you by force." Kumar laughed with mockery and said, "Do you think you can do that? Show me what you have." Then he released a huge magic attack that shattered the ground around him. He thought he had finished his opponent, but the surprise was that the attack was reflected. Yes, it was Derza who had cancelled the spell and said, "Is that all you have?" Kumar grew furious and unleashed a wide attack that destroyed everything around them, but Derza cancelled it again and said, "All right, I will attack you myself." Kumar shouted, Come, he tried to hit him with his fist, but Derza tricked him, used gravity magic to slam him to the ground, then took the stone from him and said, "Look, disgrace, I will show you how to absorb the energy of the stone." And indeed, he absorbed the power and increased the pressure on Kumar until he almost crushed him. But Kumar used forbidden magic, broke free, and transformed into a terrifying monster. He shouted, "Even if I die, I will take you with me." Then he rushed and struck Derza with great force, throwing him back, then hit him again, breaking his leg, and rained blow after blow upon him. Derza tried to dodge and shot a fire arrow at his opponent's leg. Kumar grew angrier and attacked even more fiercely, but Derza read his moves, dodged, and pushed him into the wall. He then tried to counter with fire magic, but Kumar struck him again with earth magic, pressing on him without mercy, saying, "You are finished, weakling. I was merciful at first, but now I will not spare you." The fight continued, Derza reflecting spells while Kumar grew angrier. Finally, Kumar said, "I will show you my legendary technique." He pulled out his magic staff, gathered rocks around it, and poured all his magic energy inside. Then he shouted, "Prepare yourself," and rushed at Derza. Derza tried to protect himself with 6 shields, but Kumar broke through them and struck him, sending him flying back. Kumar smiled, drunk on his victory, believing he had won. But the truth was that Derza had already dismantled the spell from the staff, and not only that, he had also cancelled the monster magic that had transformed Kumar. He approached him and said, "I took some time to undo your spell because it was forbidden magic, but now it is your end." Farewell. Kumar tried to resist again, but Derza finished it with the dragon energy strike, erasing his existence completely and ending the battle with no return. After Derza won, he stood smiling and proud of himself, for he knew that man had killed many people in his previous life. He said to himself, "The first step succeeded. I must continue like this until I am ready for all that is coming." After that, Prom and Romantica arrived at the place, full of joy because their friend was safe, and because he defeated the villain they could not defeat alone. Derza felt even happier seeing his friends alive, and the atmosphere was filled with cheer, as if they were living their happiest moments. On the next day, Professor Bridget took Derza to the Tower Chief so he could receive his reward for recovering the Dragonstone and defeating the outsiders. When they entered the chief's office, the door opened, and to Derza's surprise and happiness, he found his old friend Zod, who had completed the previous journey with him until the very end. Zod was a legendary and powerful mage, and Derza was sure he would be an ally in the future. The two of them sat together and began playing chess. Zod looked at Derza and said, "You are truly strange. I offered you every reward in the world, but you refused them all and insisted only on coming here to play chess with me. Are you hiding something?" Derza smiled and said, "No, my friend. I only wish to play true chess with you." Zod's eyes widened in shock and he said, "Where did you learn this game? I never thought anyone but me knew it." Derza replied, "An old friend taught me. Now prepare yourself because I am about to win." Zod smiled and said, "Then let us make it a wager. But what shall we bet on? I am sure there is no student in the academy who could surprise me." Derza then picked up an old broken stone lying in the corner, a worthless object they were about to throw away. Suddenly he repaired it and restored its magic power. Zod was shocked and said, "How did you do that?" Derza answered, "If you win against me, I will tell you the secret. But if I win, then you must grant me one request." Zod said, "Agreed," and they continued playing with great excitement. That night, Azest stood face to face with the arrogant swine, the leader of the Blue Moon Party, who shouted at her, "Why have you stopped training with our team? I heard you are wasting time with a bunch of annoying commoners. You must abandon them at once, or leave my Blue Moon Party. Choose now." Azest removed the party's emblem from her chest and threw it on the ground before him. She looked at him coldly and said, "It's over. I am no longer part of you." Then she turned and walked away with determination, resolved to join Derza's team. Meanwhile, Derza and his team were sitting together. Romantica asked him, "Why do you protect us so fiercely and look so afraid for us? Is there something dangerous coming in the future?" For the first time, Derza's expression changed. He said seriously, "Yes. In exactly 13 days, a magical gate will open to the shadow world. We will go there to destroy it, but anyone who dies inside will never return. They will also die in the real world, and if we fail in this mission, this whole world will be destroyed. The friends were shocked and asked, "How did you know all of this?" Derza was about to answer, but Romantica stopped him and said, "This seems like a dangerous secret we should not know now, but from your face we are certain what you say is true. From this day on we will always be with you, and we will believe everything you say. We stand behind you." Derza smiled with deep joy at his friend's trust and said, "Good." Then they all began to train more seriously and grow stronger. Even Azest joined them and trained with great passion. The atmosphere was full of energy, and their power grew day by day. Still, none of them truly knew what awaited them. The days passed quickly. The three wore their special suits, their faces showing signs of determination. Azest also wore her gear and joined them, for everyone knew the coming event would be true destruction. And here the story paused. She had been hiding the whole time, and she struck them with her spells. Kumar and his men did not know where the attacks were coming from. Prom used the chance to kill several soldiers until only Kumar remained. But do you think he would fall so easily? He controlled the battle, struck the pillar, and revealed Romantica's hiding place. Then he gathered his energy and surrounded himself with rocks, threatening, "It is better for no one to move, or I will destroy you." He continued his violent assault, while Prom and Romantica tried to respond, but they failed. Kumar decided to escape quickly before any reinforcements of guards could arrive. He vanished in a moment, went down into a secret place, and pulled out the stone, laughing happily. "I succeeded in the mission safely. But do you think the monster would let him go like that?" Suddenly, the boy who had been carrying bread appeared in front of him and said, "Hello, Kumar. That hand of yours was very useful. It made it easy for me to find you. Remember when you said earlier that you would be happy to watch my siblings die of hunger? Here I am. I will burn your blood with the stone you sacrificed your entire army for, and I will take it from you by force." Kumar laughed with mockery and said, "Do you think you can do that? Show me what you have." Then he released a huge magic attack that shattered the ground around him. He thought he had finished his opponent, but the surprise was that the attack was reflected. Yes, it was Derza who had cancelled the spell and said, "Is that all you have?" Kumar grew furious and unleashed a wide attack that destroyed everything around them, but Derza cancelled it again and said, "All right, I will attack you myself." Kumar shouted, "Come." He tried to hit him with his fist, but Derza tricked him, used gravity magic to slam him to the ground, then took the stone from him and said, "Look, disgrace. I will show you how to absorb the energy of the stone." And indeed, he absorbed the power and increased the pressure on Kumar until he almost crushed him. But Kumar used forbidden magic, broke free, and transformed into a terrifying monster. He shouted, "Even if I die, I will take you with me." Then he rushed and struck Derza with great force, throwing him back, then hit him again, breaking his leg, and rained blow after blow upon him. Derza tried to dodge and shot a fire arrow at his opponent's leg. Kumar grew angrier and attacked even more fiercely, but Derza read his moves, dodged, and pushed him into the wall. He then tried to counter with fire magic, but Kumar struck him again with earth magic, pressing on him without mercy, saying, "You are finished, weakling. I was merciful at first, but now I will not spare you." The fight continued, Derza reflecting spells while Kumar grew angrier. Finally, Kumar said, "I will show you my legendary technique." He pulled out his magic staff, gathered rocks around it, and poured all his magic energy inside. Then he shouted, "Prepare yourself," and rushed at Derza. Derza tried to protect himself with 6 shields, but Kumar broke through them and struck him, sending him flying back. Kumar smiled, drunk on his victory, believing he had won. But the truth was that Derza had already dismantled the spell from the staff, and not only that, he had also cancelled the monster magic that had transformed Kumar. He approached him and said, "I took some time to undo your spell because it was forbidden magic, but now it is your end." "Farewell." Kumar tried to resist again, but Derza finished it with the dragon energy strike, erasing his existence completely, and ending the battle with no return. After Derza won, he stood smiling and proud of himself, for he knew that man had killed many people in his previous life. He said to himself, "The first step succeeded. I must continue like this until I am ready for all that is coming." After that, Prom and Romantica arrived at the place, full of joy because their friend was safe, and because he defeated the villain they could not defeat alone. Derza felt even happier seeing his friends alive, and the atmosphere was filled with cheer, as if they were living their happiest moments. On the next day, Professor Bridget took Derza to the Tower Chief so he could receive his reward for recovering the Dragonstone and defeating the outsiders. When they entered the chief's office, the door opened, and to Derza's surprise and happiness, he found his old friend Zod, who had completed the previous journey with him until the very end. Zod was a legendary and powerful mage, and Derza was sure he would be an ally in the future. The two of them sat together and began playing chess. Zod looked at Derza and said, "You are truly strange. I offered you every reward in the world, but you refused them all and insisted only on coming here to play chess with me. Are you hiding something?" Derza smiled and said, "No, my friend. I only wish to play true chess with you." Zod's eyes widened in shock and he said, "Where did you learn this game? I never thought anyone but me knew it." Derza replied, "An old friend taught me. Now prepare yourself because I am about to win." Zod smiled and said, "Then let us make it a wager. But what shall we bet on? I am sure there is no student in the academy who could surprise me." Derza then picked up an old broken stone lying in the corner, a worthless object they were about to throw away. Suddenly he repaired it and restored its magic power. Zod was shocked and said, "How did you do that?" Derza answered, "If you win against me, I will tell you the secret. But if I win, then you must grant me one request." Zod said, "Agreed," and they continued playing with great excitement. That night, Azest stood face to face with the arrogant swine, the leader of the Blue Moon Party, who shouted at her, "Why have you stopped training with our team? I heard you are wasting time with a bunch of annoying commoners. You must abandon them at once, or leave my Blue Moon Party. Choose now." Azest removed the party's emblem from her chest and threw it on the ground before him. She looked at him coldly and said, "It's over. I am no longer part of you." Then she turned and walked away with determination, resolved to join Derza's team. Meanwhile, Derza and his team were sitting together. Romantica asked him, "Why do you protect us so fiercely and look so afraid for us? Is there something dangerous coming in the future?" For the first time, Derza's expression changed. He said seriously, "Yes. In exactly 13 days, a magical gate will open to the shadow world. We will go there to destroy it, but anyone who dies inside will never return. They will also die in the real world, and if we fail in this mission, this whole world will be destroyed." The friends were shocked and asked, "How did you know all of this?" Derza was about to answer, but Romantica stopped him and said, "This seems like a dangerous secret we should not know now, but from your face, we are certain what you say is true. From this day on, we will always be with you, and we will believe everything you say. We stand behind you." Derza smiled with deep joy at his friend's trust and said, "Good." Then they all began to train more seriously and grow stronger. Even Azest joined them and trained with great passion. The atmosphere was full of energy, and their power grew day by day. Still, none of them truly knew what awaited them. The days passed quickly. The three wore their special suits, their faces showing signs of determination. Azest also wore her gear and joined them, for everyone knew the coming event would be true destruction. And here the story paused. If you want to know what happens next, write your opinion in the comments, my friend. And when Season 2 is released, I will upload it to the channel. Do not forget to share your thoughts on this anime, and do not forget to press the like button and subscribe. Goodbye.